What's up, guys? Coach Matt and YouGoProBaseball.com, and I am here with Matt Antonelli from Antonelli Baseball and Nick Shaw from the Baseball Box, both professional middle infielders, Brewers organization, Padres organization. We played together. What we're going to talk about today, I got a question, actually. I pulled it up on my phone. I didn't want to mess it up, so I'm going to read it straight from my phone, and we're going to answer it. It says, far too many Little League and travel ball coaches coaching to win and not coaching to instruct. They cater to what a kid doesn't do well and what they can do to use that kid to win games instead of improving that kid's skill set and what he struggles with. A video that can show these coaches 5 easy ways to improve a player's skill set and overall ability would be great. So what do we have tip-wise? Maybe one by one we can go through and give some tips on how to develop these younger players as they're coming up. You guys got anything off the top of your heads?
Sure, you want me to go first?
Go ahead.
All right, I'll give one. I think in 2018, 2019, there's so much information out there. So even if you're a coach or a parent and you don't know a whole lot about the game, it's really probably the easiest it's ever been to start to get some ideas not only about how to improve players' play through mechanics, whether it's pitching, fielding, hitting, but also you can go and look at how teams are running practices. Like you can literally go on YouTube and put in any team that you want, and organizations are putting up practice plans, exactly what they're doing. Like we put up our drills, what we do at our infielders, what we do at our outfielders. So there's no reason, you can learn, even if you didn't play the game, you can go on there and get so many ideas. And I still do it. I feel like no matter where you've played or coached or whatever, I know the best coaches and the best players that are still going online and literally finding information. And so I go on all the time and I steal people's ideas. I don't come up with a whole lot. I just take things, that's a really good idea. Maybe I tweak it a little bit, try with our guys. So you can get a ton of information without ever playing the game and really knowing anything. So I think that's one big thing, is always making yourself better, always trying to learn a little bit more to help, instill those things in your players.
Absolutely. Technology is huge. I totally agree. Maybe picking one movement, one hitting movement a day, or one fielding movement a day, and getting repetition with your boys over and over and over. Because in the end, baseball is a game of repetition. If I take 100 ground balls, I'm going to be better than if I took 5 ground balls. Okay, but working on the proper mechanics, look it up. If you don't know it, there's no problem looking it up, right? Finding out what works.
Big one I got for you guys is instilling confidence in these young players, because baseball is a game of failure. And a lot of times we have youth coaches who are yelling at the kids, you got to field that ground ball. Come on, you got to throw a strike, whatever it is. Of course, that kid's trying to field that ground ball. He's trying to throw that strike. He's not trying to mess up. So with that being said, being a game of failure and having coaches that, are just doing what they're seeing as well. So I'm not blaming any coaches that do that, but what I want to offer you instead is to try to instill confidence in these young players. So instead of yelling at them for missing the ball, say maybe, hey, it's all right. We'll get them next time. This ball's coming to you. Be ready to go. And maybe instilling that culture on your team. So, if it's a shortstop that missed the ball, the second baseman comes over. Hey, it's all right, man. We got this next one. Or a pitcher goes, hey, we're all good. Here it comes. I'm going to roll one to you again. So instilling that culture in your team to build confidence. Now, if he does mess that ball or whatever, maybe the next day at practice, we work on a fun drill or a fun game to get better at that, and then praise him when he's doing it well. So now he's like, oh, I can field balls good. I'm a good fielder. So now he goes into that next game and he's like, oh, I got this. And he's going to feel that confidence is going to come out in the field, and he's going to have a lot more success. So instead of taking it from a game of failure and coached by negative people, we flip that around. We all support each other and we get better as a team, and we instill confidence in all our players. You guys got
That's a great
anything
point.
else?
I got one more quick thing. I think, especially now where there's so many tournaments, so many showcases, so players and parents and coaches want to play in like hundreds and hundreds of games, and a lot of players brag about that. Oh, I played in 100 games this past year. I played in 150 games or whatever, and that's great. You need to have the game to be able to then learn how to translate what you do in practice to the game. But I think sometimes we get so wrapped up in the games and we kind of neglect practice, where we're building all the skills. If you're just playing in games, yeah, you'll learn a little bit on how to perform in a game. Sure, that's great. But I developed the skills through repetition, through practice, like you said. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It literally, if I want to get better at ground balls, if I literally can just get somebody to either roll me a ground ball or fungal me a ground ball, whatever it is, or just get somebody up to hit and they're going to hit and I'm going to play defense and field live ground balls, the more reps I can get in practice, that's going to translate over to a better performance in the game. So don't get so wrapped up. Again, the game's important and I know games are fun, but you can't neglect the practice and say, guys, we're going to play. You know, I see teams that play 100 games and practice once or twice. And it's just the ratio has to be much more in line where, you know, I think that you should be practicing more than you're playing, you know, or at least 50-50, close. But if you're somebody just playing in games and you're not practicing at all, it's really, really tough in my experience to get better.
That's good.
One last thing I have, just challenge your players. That's the biggest thing I see. There was a couple situations, a couple weekends ago, I coached a 13U team, and the 9-hole kid came up twice with a runner on second base and 1 out, right? We need a base hit and the run scores. Instead, both times the coach gave him the bunt sign, right? So we just moved a runner to third base and now we have 2 outs. What that said to me is the coach has no confidence in that hitter. And he probably does that more often than not, right? If he did it twice in the same game against the same team. Instead, why don't we challenge that kid, all right? Give him the hit sign. Let him hit away. Let him get that hit and feel the success of driving in the run instead of waiting later in his life when he has to get the hit, say high school ball, we're not going to bunt a runner over for 2 outs, and then he doesn't have any experience doing it. And then there was another situation where I get if a guy's in a groove, right? He's throwing well, but once the pitch count starts getting up in the 90s and the hundreds, especially on a new distance at 13U, it's time to put somebody in there, I think, in my opinion. You know, I'm no judge of pitch count, but I don't think that we should be running kids at a new distance upwards of 100 or 110 pitches just to win a tournament. Maybe challenge somebody else in the field or on your bench to go out there and get some outs, you know, and have them taste success or failure, but they're going to learn from it either way. So challenge your players.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I know the question was asking for 5, and that was 5. But I got one more to leave you with, and that's just to take accountability yourself too, whether you know it's a dad or a player, to get the work in by yourselves. Because let's be honest, at the youth level, the little league level, these guys are volunteers. The coaches are volunteers. They're doing probably the best that they can, you know, with what they got. Some of them, you know, haven't played past high school or whatever it is, and they're just out there trying to help. They're volunteering their time. So take it upon yourself. If you're a dad and you want your son to get better, let's practice with him at home. You know, get some work in at home. Make it fun. If you're a player and you're looking to get better and you want to know how to develop, find a wall, grab a ball. That's the best thing to do, man. I used to have so much fun just playing with myself, throwing the ball against the wall and fielding it. So take accountability. If you're trying to get better, set some goals and try to get out there and make yourself better. So that's what I got. You guys got anything else?
That's it.
There you go. There's 6 of them. 6 development youth baseball hacks for you. So I hope you guys like this. Don't forget to check out Antonelli Baseball YouTube channel, the Baseball Box. I'll leave all their information down below, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Thank you.
Oh, you okay?